Alfred Adler stated, quote, "There is a law that man should love his neighbor as himself. In a few hundred years it should be as natural to mankind as breathing, or the upright gait. But if he does not learn it, he must perish."
Until people en masse make it clear that they're no longer prepared to tolerate this kind of system, then it will continue. You see that whenever statements are made about sort of transitioning power, it makes people very, very nervous. Now, for me, the spiritual principles are important is that we are all one, we're all together, and every individual's rights need to be respected. I think we need a spiritual revolution more than a political. And what's important and what's defining are the things that we all share: love, unity, togetherness. As long as we have cultural narratives that eschew these ideas, that suppress these ideas in favour of negative human traits, greed, selfishness, lust, as long as these ideas are promoted, we will exist in opposition to one another and will be exploitable by corporations that prey upon these negative facets of humanity. But as long as if people are empowered with information, if people are unified, if people have a common understanding, are prepared to look at what we share, what unifies us instead of what separates us, then the people are invincible. This is the irrefutable truth of the elitist pyramid structures, is when the people are awake, it is impossible to maintain. This is why we need a police force, no disrespect officer, and a domestic army to control populations, because when the people decide this is over now, then it is over now, and we're close to this realisation. If we live as God would have us live, then the world will change automatically. It will just happen automatically. Someone said, I think it might be Prabhupada, that a cave can have been in darkness for 10,000 years, but as soon as the light is put on, as soon as a match is struck, the light is there. So the light is coming.
You may have heard many people claim that a certain thing will change the world forever, or that a certain particular subject is the most important for everyone to know. But what really concerns the world? What is everyone in need of knowing? What has always affected the world? What could save millions of lives? What if it only takes having knowledge of one thing that currently is not being taught to the world, or that people do not understand? This helps us to know what really will change the world forever, unlike ever before, in moving toward the future in humanity's evolution, and what is most important to our current time of distress, confusion, chaos, ignorance, or deception. In a world where the basic essentials of life are not present, or is becoming replaced or impaired, is a world in need of attentive help. First, it is important to note that there are two spiritual currencies: time and attention. This analogy can be seen very readily in the sayings spending time and paying attention. Whatever information or endeavors we put our time and attention toward, we end up getting something in return for that investment. This return could come in the form of knowledge, understanding, skills, expertise, and empowerment if we invest our spiritual currencies wisely. Therefore, we should seek to improve the quality of our attention by placing it upon information that is capable of improving both ourselves and the human condition as a whole. Such an effort would also constitute a valuable investment of our time. We should ask ourselves, what am I spending my time on? Or what am I paying attention to? And most importantly, what kind of quality am I getting in return for these investments of my spiritual currency? So by you watching this video and gaining an understanding as to the importance of natural law, perhaps we really can change the world forever. However, if we are dealing with the matter of truth, despite how it should be common sense, it may not be so easy to initially face an understanding. So do you really have a beginner's mind, an open mind, to the knowledge of natural law? Author Schopenhauer stated that, quote, "All truth passes through three stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed, and third, it is accepted as being self-evident." Simply because you live in a system people call government does not mean it actually physically exists. Are you open to the possibility that it doesn't? That everything you were told may be a lie? Your truth-seeking journey brought you here to this knowledge. But just how powerful is this knowledge? What can it do? Natural law is the science of justice, defined as universal, non-man-made, binding and immutable conditions that govern the consequences of behavior. The definition of law itself is an existing condition which is binding and immutable, meaning it cannot be changed. If we knew exactly how we contributed to the world we live in by our actions, as controlled by the law, and we spent our spiritual currency of time and attention to make it possible because we care about our world, this is why learning the law will change the world forever. A prominent teacher of natural law, Mark Passio, stated, quote, "In a time of such overwhelming ignorance of this critical information, the fact that I do understand it places me in a position of moral obligation to speak this information to others in an attempt to help them to understand it and live it as well." As others have spoke about natural law, Michael Gleason, who was first hesitant about learning the knowledge and then wrote a study guide about the material, stated, quote, "Once somebody comes to a deep understanding of this knowledge, they will almost be obliged to live according to it, or know for a fact that their behavior is immoral and wrong." From Larkin Rose's book, The Most Dangerous Superstition, he states, quote, "It is the truth, as you will see if you allow yourself to consider the issue objectively. Not only is it the truth, it also may be the most important truth you will ever hear when referring to the subject matter that natural law consists of." Let's explore why this is. Here are some of the main reasons, and they are as follows. Number 1. Natural law is an essential aspect of life. Since it has always existed and always will, universally and eternally, it makes up an inherent aspect of the truth. Truth is objective, and it may be defined as simply that which is. It is that which has occurred in the past, and that which is occurring in the present. In a world where harm is being done unto people, knowledge of truth, thus the knowledge of natural law, comes of essential need, for life to live on more prosperous because we understand truth and are then able to align our actions to the truth. Number 2. Natural law is easily provable knowledge that utilizes and creates common sense. Through principles of which natural law is expressed inherently in the world, we can observe these phenomenons within our own lives. These are referred to as the 7 Hermetic principles. This includes the principle of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, gender, and cause and effect. Other easily observed phenomenons that natural laws also refer to is the law of attraction, generally simply the law of cause and effect, karmic or moral law, and the golden rule. These are always at work within our own lives, but we may not always apply this teaching to that of everything we do in life, or to that of politics, and that's where our understanding of morality, or knowing of natural human rights, statism, and government comes into play. Common sense is created by the learning of natural law because the word conscience, by Latin definition, means to know together, and this is knowledge which we are meant to know together. It also helps us exercise our common sense or conscience because by knowing the law, we have a clearer understanding between right and wrong, or what should be done versus what shouldn't be done. Number 3. Natural law is hidden knowledge that would empower the people of the world if the people of the world had it. Hidden knowledge represents what is called occult knowledge, which means hidden. Natural law is considered occult in such knowledge is not commonly known because it has been deliberately hidden in order to create and maintain a power differential between those who hold that knowledge and those who are ignorant of it. This is what creates the egocentric master-slave hierarchical pyramid dynamic, where those with the light or knowledge is atop, and those kept in the dark, often due to ignorance, is of the bottom mass. However, the base holds the top, and without the millions of people upholding the few above them in this system, this pyramid dynamic would collapse and it would, quote, level the playing field, and put an end to the currently entrenched systems of control. This can only be done when the light reaches the dark, or when people become empowered through the knowledge as power, the knowledge of natural law being taught to the world. Number 4. Natural law helps objectively define natural human rights because it defines right and wrong to be objective in nature. It may be no surprise for people to lose their rights in a world of people who don't even know their rights to begin with. At the heart of natural law is the understanding of morality, and this constitutes a right and wrong action. From this, we come to understand what a real crime or natural law transgression is, and we also come to understand that our rights come from nature and not by humanity. Thus, nobody can grant anyone else rights, and nobody can revoke anyone else's rights. This also means that a right is a right, and a wrong is a wrong, that cannot be changed, for this is the whole reason why this is a law. If we decided we could just do whatever, we ignore the law and we decide that we ourselves can be the law, a wrongdoing itself, because then we are telling people what to do and not do with their own lives, thus claiming ownership over their rights, thus claiming to be superhuman or a master above them, and backing it by threat of violence, another wrongdoing. When enough people understand natural law, anyone who claims to otherwise be the law will not have the backing in committing such wrongdoing. Indeed, order followers permitting harm or allowing wrongdoing to be done across the world is the root to all manifested evil in the form of slavery and democide, even if it's dressed up with the labels such as taxation or prohibition or licenses or voting or government. These can all be explained and thoroughly understood through the knowledge of natural law. Number 5. Natural law is the root solution to all problems or symptoms that have grown out of the root problem, that is the lack of knowledge in natural law. If everything is controlled by natural law, it only makes sense to understand the true source of control in the world, so that we may better control ourselves in our own actions. All evil we see in the world is only aggregated in the presence of those who lack knowledge in stopping that evil, often due to the fact they may not even see it as evil or were convinced that it wasn't evil. Every other truth topic existent is dependent upon freedom to see and understand those truths. Freedom can only exist in a society of knowledge, as quoted by many, and as a requirement via the law of freedom. Those truth topics are also often focused on people and events, rather than the ideas, and if they are based on universal and eternal or truthful ideas, then it is of natural law. Therefore, despite there being many truths, natural law helps constitute the most important truth, and that is the very ability to understand objective truth, objective morality, the history and nature of systems of control, the nature of freedom, responsibility, and ownership, the care and process in solving problems, and the ability to identify the real problems that affect us the most. Number 6. Natural law is at most simple when grasped, and it is mentality-based. Any time we learn knowledge, we must ask what use it has for taking action, and what we put our attention or attraction toward can make a big deal when figuratively fighting for the truth. It helps to have a central, core, and simple message to share with others, so not to alienate ourselves too much, and to make our intentions clear to simply speak about truth simply. While there is always a learning curve to something new, the expression, quote, "there is nothing new under the sun," sums up the fact that natural law isn't introducing anything new, especially since it is based in truth. as opposed to any other solution that may go about in fighting for the truth. It is speaking upon what is itself instead of for what is in some particular process. While other processes and efforts may assist, the question is the main focus, so not to deter ourselves from the main focus, and if so, in any manner that we choose to do so, we would rather enhance or directly lead up to the main focus. Some examples of a process would include the knowledge of common law or the movement of nature is the answer, both of which are to be based on natural law anyways. The more simple, the more common sense, the more easily grasped, although keeping in mind that the recognition and understanding natural law hasn't been taught to many individuals, in that then connecting natural law or natural rights or common sense to statism or government is another understanding to grasp. It's not always going to be easy teaching others anything, depending on one's mental stage and fortitude, but if it's knowledge that must be known, then it's knowledge that must be taught, and any other way around the system cannot excuse what must be directly done. Knowledge is best shared through conversation or the spoken word. When you change the minds, you change the world. And since natural law is reliant on education and the spoken word, as is common sense, it may influence cultural and social environments, and that will further change more minds. The spoken word is the most powerful tool for truth, and such is more the reason why natural law alone is the most powerful to speak of. Number 7. A grasped understanding of natural law will create the better world we all want to live in. As the manifested world is due to our manifested actions, we will have manifested desires when the manifested conditions of the world are undesirable or greatly different from that of the past, or we feel a lack of connection with nature itself. However, part of coming to understand that we have always contributed to the manifested conditions includes knowing what we can manifest as the quote, better tomorrow once we do have the knowledge of natural law shared with the whole world, thereafter our own understanding in order to be the change. This better tomorrow includes health benefits due to a variety of medicines and a lack of pharmaceutical monopoly control, education benefits due to the lack of forced schooling or government-based propaganda, security benefits due to the obligated responsibility to bear arms in order to defend oneself or others against aggressors, no war to identify or mass useless overseas conflict, information freedom is present with corporate competition, therefore less censorship. There's more jobs and job benefits where there is more local small businesses and they are able to grow. There's a decentralized media, more opportunities where whistleblowers can come out and information about past events finally come to light. Cultures become embraced and people are living more according to their nature. There becomes more productivity, adventure, creativity, and imagination. No taxation or permits or other controlling agents. There also comes to be more families, traditions, and social behaviors that is all naturally encouraged. No scientism or particular religious extreme dominates society, despite natural law pointing to the Creator and being a science of its own. And so truth may rise to the top as it shall, naturally. As a whole, in the aggregate, humanity living more in harmony with natural law due to their understanding of it will allow optimal sustainability and freedom, peace, prosperity, survival, and evolutionary progress. Furthermore, you may come to understand the arguments made for slavery are exactly the same as those made for government. However bold that may sound, when you understand natural law, you understand man's law. Among everything else you also come to understand, including why people act the way they do, as everything in life starts to become clearer. There are many other supportive arguments for the knowledge of natural law that has been covered extensively through hundreds of different teachers around the world in what is called the One Great Work. We shall know that freedom shall be embraced without fear, that everything operates better at the local, individual, and voluntary level. Society runs just as it does today, however, with no monopoly on violence present, or exemptions from real crimes excused through the use of uniforms or enforcers or special political titles. You may be skeptical of claims about living life free from all government or centralized authority figures, but when you learn natural law being that it is of common sense, everything will come together for you, like all the reasons mentioned, and you'll start to see how simple it really is. The knowledge is simple, and so the actions are simple. All that's needed is enough people knowing it for enough people doing it. For when you can change your own world with this powerful knowledge, then you know for a fact that we can change the whole world forever and for good if we bring it to others and help them also understand it for themselves. As stated in the book End of All Evil by Jeremy Locke, personal sovereignty is the end of evil, when every person on earth will defend themselves and those they love, when evil cannot gain even a foothold because all people are watching for it and recognize that it seeks to destroy their value. This is the exact opposite of perfect evil, in which every person is a slave and a master of slaves. Perfect liberty is life, and in it there are no slaves and no masters of slaves. Perfect liberty is life. You are the key to teach the people of Earth the value that they have within themselves. You need only speak and tell them that every good thing is theirs to have. You need only tell them that the glory of liberty is real and that it belongs to them. Watch the free documentary titled Mark Passio and the Science of Natural Law, posted in the description, to gain a fuller grasp of this knowledge. And as I would like to add, on behalf of helping this knowledge spread in this movement for truth, remember that nature is the answer. Visit nita.one. And to learn natural law for yourself through videos, study guides, shareable sheets, books, interviews, and more, visit nita.one/advanced. This is the page that the website and flag of Nature's the Answer brings people toward to help them understand that freedom is possible, and we can create it together. The message is the mission, and the mission is the message. Thank you for watching, and embark on the real journey, that is, to understand and help protect, to defend nature and uphold its laws for true peace, equality, and justice.